Really good point. Let's go to pick some bands for game 2, then Team Fantastique can answer this one back. At the moment, they're Hungry for More looking pretty good after that last set, and they're looking very well coordinated. We mainly harped on about PandaLike there, because for me, he was the only real initiator for that team, but he made it work.
He was. He was less of an initiator and more of the initiated on.
A baiter.
He was the baiter. He was the raffer, right? He played the raffer style where he pushed himself up a little bit. He got caught, what, once at the blue buff. Not that big of a deal, right? He was just trying to push his lead. Outside of that, though, we saw Dardez invest so many flops onto him and just immediately get turned on.
It's funny you bring up Rafa there, but he was on the side of mortality with Rafa when he was in the support role then on the Ymir then. And maybe Rafa adopted his strategy more, but it's working out once again for him because he's found a team that will stick with it.
See, I wonder if a team is ever going to just ban the Ymir, because I don't think it's doing... I don't think the Ymir itself is game-changing, but it's so interesting seeing these teams kind of not only get baited into trying to kill PandaLike, but also the walls in the middle of the fights just allowing HFM to clean up kills that they normally shouldn't be able to.
There's a lot of gods in the game that can shut down a Ymir. They could look at drafting 1 or 2 of those to try and cause issues, but if you're really drafting just to kill a Ymir, you may have issues. But you're not going to play Ymir this game, you know why? Because Fafnir gets through.
And, I mean, basically PandaLike was like, well... They left Fafnir open, so no more Ymir fun for me. He's going to go that, provides a lot of options. And this is more of one of the mechanically skilled supports, right? You look at Ares as the only traditional mechanically intensive support, and that was off of a single ability in chains. And the hammer is kind of very similar for Fafnir. Not that easy to line up.
He just had 3 stuns, good AoE damage, the ability to get himself out of a difficult situation. I don't think PandaLike's going to be too upset
Built-in Sanctuary and Purification as well on his ultimate when he transforms.
But this time, Fantastique will switch things up and take Vulcan away from PrettyPriMe. Give it to nulisa in the mid lane here. Erlang Shen again can be a flex pick. We've seen WorldEdit play it before, and we've just seen MoGoW play it as well, so we'll see.
I'm really excited because HFM has, in their first now 4 games, shown me something different almost every single time. Outside of the Ymir, which has been consistent, they've gone in with a different strategy, right? Against Cringe Crew, they were very aggressive, utilizing their Odin Ymir to wall off people and set up kills with the help of CaptainTwig. Last game, it was more of, let's farm up, right? And then let's bait fights into the tight corridors with PandaLike kind of just pushing up a little bit out of position. And I'm excited to see how they utilize Fafnir, if it's going to be more objective-focused or not.
Well, Fantastique here. Drafting the Sobek instead of the Bacchus here. I actually prefer the Sobek against the Jingwei than I do a Bacchus against the Jingwei.
It's also the ability to not only initiate, obviously it's not as strong as Bacchus, which has that kind of AoE flop, but what you can do is find a target and say, you are now out of position. My team doesn't have to commit deep into your backline to get a kill when Bacchus flops. Now you're just going to be in the middle of our backline and we can shred you safely.
And it's funny when I say that, because obviously Zeus not very good against Bacchus at all. Sobek, similar sort of story, but you don't... Flipping a Zeus into your team can be very risky.
It could be very risky sometimes if he can ult in Sanctuary, if he has the mechanic. But like, in the middle of the air, you can sometimes finish off Zeus before he lands.
Very true indeed. Catman's going through though. Fenrir and Nijar and Bacchus and Anher. Now that was actually, I didn't even think about that. Sobek could have been played in the solo lane here, and that could have been the option. They do still ban Bacchus. They're hungry for more. Well aware that could be the option.
And I mean,
smart.
EU teams scrim each other, right? So they're going to be able to hear, you know, what strategies everyone's been utilizing.
Fantastique running yesterday as well, so that doesn't really surprise me. And Erlang Shen, they've seen that in the jungle too. So yeah, pretty smart just to recognize it.
There's actually a lot of lockdown and chain CC potential on the side of Fantastique, right? Sobek pluck into Erlang Shen pin, into Vulcan knockup, into Sobek knock. Like, there's just a lot of chain CC potential out of these 3 gods that HFM are going to have to worry about in the early game specifically.
Well, the best news is because Fantastique picked Sobek and Erlang Shen, they can multi-roll, so they can still switch up their strategy here based off this. Maybe pick another support if they want to. Maybe pick a different solo lane and put Sobek in the support role. But Batz for the all-round control for CaptainTwig.
And this is the other god that CaptainTwig has kind of had his namesake on. And this used to be more when he was on Fnatic, where he was this farmer, right? You know, wait for late game, hold out, okay, we have reels online, and Fear No Evil is very good at disengaging, as well as forcing fights. It's kind of this all-around ultimate.
That looks like a solo lane Ymir to me coming up from Variety this time around. I do not expect to see a Fafnir solo.
You say that?
No.
No, we're not going to see. I don't think, like, Fafnir just doesn't have the clear right now.
I'd say Fafnir would be more likely a jungler than a solo laner.
Yeah, that's
and he's
possible.
still pooping in the jungle, so that's actually how bad he's
solo. Well, I don't think we're going to have
so.
a Hunbat solo, although that would be great.
We will see a Sobek solo, though. Oh, actually, no, I'm lying, because Kumbhakarna locked in could be either one of those again. I know Dardez and MoGoW quite comfortable on the Kumbhakarna.
Yeah, I'm excited to kind of see how they play it. Obviously...
Okay, so we think Ymir solo. Who would you send against Ymir? Sobek, I'd say.
Probably Sobek. I mean, both are fine, right?
Kumbha's matchup not as
I mean, he's got to be
good.
in the front of the wave, I guess, whereas Sobek's to the side, which is a little bit better.
Yeah, he's going to be the Kumbhakarna in this duo lane with Dardez, and MoGoW will take the Sobek, the variety on the Ymir.
And there's also the difference of a lot of Kumbhakarna's damage is up front, right? It's in around his ultimate, whereas Sobek's kind of damage is AoE, right? He just does a lot of repeated poke damage in a team fight to multiple targets.
An interesting starting strategy from both the two solo lanes. Playing Guardians here. Variety gone for the Vanguard start here, which will reduce the amount of damage he takes from minions because of the protections he gets from that. However, MoGoW, well, he's gone for the Vamp Shroud for the extra power spike at the beginning of the game here, but that could be a detriment to him because he may take more poke from the minions when trying to farm.
But he heals up, right? And this is a thing where MoGoW is going to make sure he doesn't poke Variety. That's his main goal. Also, Variety not going to get a lot of use out of the Vanguard when it comes to taking poke from Sobek. Obviously, he's magical. Vanguard now only has that physical protection.
And when we look at the Hunters as well, you can see a bit of a difference in build there once more. Death's Toll boots 1 for Ataraxia here. Meanwhile, Jermain, much more aggressive style from him as we come to expect these days, rushing this Igfal.
And he's just going to want to trade with Ataraxia as much as possible when that comes online. And that's just Jermain, right? He just wants to fight all the time. And he knows that individually and mechanically, he's one of the better hunters, I think, in the European scene, maybe even in the world. We haven't been able to see him, I think, on a big stage or be with a more consistent and dominating team, but everyone talks about this kid.
Well, let's just see where the junglers go at the beginning of this game, because there's a lot of poke already from PrettyPriMe. nulisa ate a lot and ignored the turret.
I love what Prime's doing too. He needs to hit 2 here so he can get Detonate online and continue the poke damage.
That's a lot.
And he's going to have it here. No, but actually gets Chain Lightning
good
instead.
Chain Lightning. I think that was wise to clear the wave a little bit more. Now Twig's going to be on the right-hand side. Harpies here. Be able to farm these ones up. They can go and get the Fire Elementals as well after this if they so choose.
And they're going to. I mean, left-hand side, Fantastique already setting up for those mid-Harpies, so not something Hungry for More is going to be able to stop at all. Left-hand side, though, PANDALIKE taking a fair bit of poke early on.
The hammer, it seemed, more than anything else. He really wanted the hammer to confirm and allow Ataraxia to poke out Jermain a little bit, who has used his health potions just as much as Ataraxia has. So it's all the health they have left, but the meditate from PANDALIKE being used.
And that was a little bit surprising for PANDALIKE as well, using underhand tactics. I mean, the goal was to disarm Jermain and to stop his effectiveness, but the disarm's on such a low cooldown, he was already poked out, and that actually forced him to use his meditation. I don't know if he had planned to use meditation just to gain lane control or not, but not something you want to have to burn.
Well, Shen was also used there by Fantastique on the side of Dardez, so both of the supports have used their relics early on in this lane, and their wave clear very effective as PANDALIKE goes in, just poking, forcing him back a little bit more.
And you know, because he did use that meditation, because he did go aggressive, now Hungry for More have the lane control, and Ataraxia is going to feel a lot more comfortable because PANDALIKE's up to his shenanigans again, just kind of rotating into the jungle and putting a question mark on Fantastique, right? Is he stealing our back harpies? Is he trying to set up a gank for mid? Or is he really just hanging around the corner?
It's the question mark. Don't show yourself on the map. It's the same way you back away from it in lane. Don't let people see you backing for the simple reason they don't know whether you are backing or you're rotating.
And we see this from Neath as well, right? Imelito, one of the first to utilize the Neath ultimate kind of bait quite effectively, where just in lane, if he's Neath, he just holds his ultimate the whole time, right? Unless you're going to come up and try and trade him. And the reason is because you don't know if a gank's actually being set up that time or not.
Well, both junglers have headed back to base. Full warrior tabby online for both of them. Mid laners too, just picking all those tier 2 boots. And the difference between the mid builds, as you can see there, we did see the Soul Stone start coming out from nulisa this time around. Over Vamp Shroud online for Prime for the extra health.
And just wants the extra damage. nulisa there. She doesn't really need any sustain coming out from the Magi's Blessing. Although she did get poked out pretty heavily by Prime there in that first level.
Fire Elementals go down the way of Hungry for More one more time here, so small advantage. Right-hand side, though, you can see Twig going to make a rotation.
This is
level 5.
This is really hard to time right now, and they need to bait MoGoW a little bit more into the lane, but I mean, like, MoGoW's looking at him through the wall. I don't think there's a ward there either. I mean, that's just really smart map awareness.
If he spots him just for half a second, he uses Lurker in the waters and he gets away. You know, he's going to take a little less damage. Overall, though, the wall could pin him off from Variety, but it's going to be very difficult to secure a kill.
But the thing about the timing of that gank is, like, if you manage to find the kill onto MoGoW, or even poke him out, right? You don't even need to kill him. You're going to open up an opportunity to invade his speed and blue. And if it doesn't go your way, which is what happened, your speed and blue are spawning as well, so you can go right back into farming. You're not wasting any time.
I mean, it's mainly timings more than anything else. Both solo lanes should know the rotations from junglers could be on their side of the map, with speed buff being up and them being 5. It's likely you'll see your solo lane there, so just play a little bit more safe. Talk about playing safe. Twig isn't right now.
And he's going to keep chasing, but doesn't want to burn the ultimate. Low mana right there. I don't even think he had enough to burn it. Can we highlight over Fear No Evil real quick? He was at, it looked like 70.
He doesn't now.
So he didn't have the mana cost to go aggressive there.
And now the Ryan Harpies go down. Left ones are available, and Fantastique are in position for that. They're doing the blue buff and their red buff at the same time here. Talking about red buff, I think that's where Prime's on his way over, but he'll find out the left Harpies are there thanks to PANDALIKE.
And Zeus has a mid pressure. This is what you want. So this is actually what both these mid laners like, because Vulcan and Zeus both scale very strong into the late game. They have so much damage, so much poke, so much pressure, and if they're left untouched for the early game, which is, you know, at their weakest when they don't have any boots, they're happy with it.
So the one thing I see for Fantastique here in this game alone is take away the solo lanes from this equation here. Fantastique's aggression engage here is all reliant on either a Kumbhakarna walking up and ulting someone or yawning on them, or an ultimate from WorldEdit. They're the only real two setups they have to initiate a fight.
I wouldn't say that's true, right? I mean, obviously you said take out solo laners, but I think this is going to be the same thing where solo laners are going to have that impact because no one's trying to get ahead in this early game. So you have to count solo laners.
That's what I mean. More in the first 15 minutes of the game when the solo laners aren't involved, you can't really expect Fantastique to try and initiate. They've not really got the ability to do that.
I think you can, right? And it's really centered around WorldEdit and locking people down with the pin, followed up by the chain CC with the rest of the team because Erlang, Shen, Vulcan, Kumbhakarna, right? There is a lot of CC in those three.
What they can do is look at the Golf Fury, and that's what they're doing right now. But mainly it's to clear wards out, but they may get cut off by PANDALIKE here. But I think they have an idea something may be going on. The pin from WorldEdit going to force CaptainTwig back, and PANDALIKE does not like those odds. 2v3, especially when two of his teammates were not around.
And he's just going to be soaking up the experience. That actually does jump over the mid wall, but it doesn't seem like Fantastique really want to go on him.
This feels like a PANDALIKE god to me. I mean, he can get himself so far out of position and go, oh, I'm about to die, ult, and I'll buy an extra few seconds and then jump away again afterwards.
Also, the other stun into the kit too, right? Yeah, coerces the self-heal. And it's very reminiscent of Bacchus, right? Trix Tank also loves this god. But it seems like Fantastique still try to bait this Gold Fury, but they don't want to commit to it. They are really just looking for the kills.
It's surprising there because Twig was on the right-hand side, and I believe MoGoW spotted, but in the mid lane, there's the aggression. Looking at nulisa, forced out by the Fear No Evil, has to backfire away, can't get away, throws the ultimate off in time, hitting Prime, but it's not enough damage. Meanwhile, PANDALIKE zoning out too.
And that was all PANDALIKE setup, right? CaptainTwig comes up with the kill, but that's not really what's important. It's the jump over the wall. Nulisa had zero idea. It looked like she panicked for half a second because she was kind of lost into what was happening. She actually got hit from 3 different angles.
Yeah.
And PANDALIKE from the side there, just setting that up beautifully.
And now the speed buff being invaded here, but at the back, Twig pinned in position, yawned on as well, but forced to purify away. Now the focus is onto Dardez. Kumbhakarna is down. They will get the kill, but MoGoW, as they're trying to clean him up, will get the ult off.
And actually, WorldEdit could be in a little bit of trouble here too. MoGoW, he is going to get walled off. Variety, great wall. They're able to escape out the sides, but it doesn't matter. Chain Lightning finds another, and Hunger for More, once again, just very quiet until they open it up.
And not only that, I mean, they clean up those kills, then they get the speed buff and walk away. They should know blue buff's about to spawn here any moment, but for the time being, they could just rotate back to lane, pick up all the jungle camps that are available.
They could even look for this tier 1 tower. Quinn, actually, I want to see, does MoGoW have teleport up? And no, it was used, so Variety going to get a lot of free farm as well, though he is low mana, so he's playing it safe and taking it back.
Just a good little engage there from Hungry for More. It's Fantastique. We're trying to defend. Ataraxia able to rotate to the left-hand Harpies here. Good decision just to continue farming up in this left-hand side. Don't take on Jermain, who was looking for the aggression in the early stages.
And this Ymir is something that I think Europe is going to have to start to notice, because this is now 4 games in a row that Hunger for More have run it, and you left Fafnir open, so you're like, okay, PANDALIKE won't play Ymir, and he didn't. Yeah. But it just goes to Variety in the soul lane. And so Hunger for More really highly valuing this pick right now. Not only the pressure it can put out in the early game, because we saw PANDALIKE run, I think it was a Sunder and a Power Pot yesterday in the support position, but also just the ability to reduce damage of a team.
Well, Fantastique trying to commit to this Gold Fury very heavily all of a sudden here, just investing a little bit into that, trying to make sure they can get a rotation or find a pick and trying to answer this one back.
I think they were just trying to sneak it, but a good job by PrettyPriMe there, smelling something was going on. You could see all ward control in favor of HF, or in favor of Fantastique over there. He recognizes that, doesn't see anyone on the map, just does a little spot check.
Go back to the Ymir that you were talking about, though. I think EU's always had his love for Ymir overall, but we see more and more of it. Not just,
it's the buff. I mean, it has to be the buff, right? Now you're doing extra damage with your basics when you hit with ability, but also the people hit with your abilities are doing 10% less damage. In the middle of a team fight, I mean, that adds up. That is significant.
It does, and when you factor in as well, I believe Cyclone ran it against the boys of Fantastique as well the day before, and Fantastique ended up banning it out. There is a bit of focus onto this Ymir, especially because he's a flex pick in terms of the support and the solo now.
8 minutes in, though, Hungry for More still leading about by 2K. Just trying to play the slow game, and they do have good initiation and gank potential with PandaLike and CaptainTwig. And I'm surprised that we've only seen one gank so far on an nulisa. It's really surprising that HFM are playing it this low, but they want to be cautious, right? Every game's going to matter.
I do like the way we've seen PandaLike jumping over these walls though in the mid lane on this Fafnir as well. He's jumping in over and over again, sometimes aggressively, sometimes just for the sake of it, but he's making people constantly think about where he's going to be, having to turn to his attention, and that's what got them the kill. But here's a bait. Here's an attempt by the looks of it, because there's a teleport coming out.
And the pin is activated. WorldEdit knows this is going on, but here. Hunger for More committing to this. It's under 50% right now, and there comes the Zeus ult.
She's not going to get her in time to be able to use the ult. nulisa was actually back in base then on her way back, so a nice clean pickup, but can they get away from Fantastique?
They have no fear, no evil, so they need to be careful, and Dardez going aggressive from downtown. It's going to be off the mark. Only Variety's connected, and it's so low damage.
And MoGoW being surrounded and isolated there for a second, forced to run away. Meanwhile, on the back, WorldEdit is trying to pick up Prime, who does a good job of dealing with him, and now CaptainTwig and PandaLike are there to support. Actually, PandaLike doesn't even care. He knows his boy's got it in the bag, so he's going to join the fight at the front. Go with the fight at the front.
Ataraxia is going to find this here. Ults is activated, and there's the kill. 6-0. Hunger for More find 3 more kills, as well as the Gold Fury, and that was just clean. A very awkward engagement from Fantastique, right? We saw Dardez go aggressive, but everyone else was very passive. They played very far back.
PandaLike trying to feel himself a little bit too much, looking at nulisa there. Missed the hammer off the mark. Could have been really heavily punished even more if that backfire would have connected. But once again, Hungry for More. Get a speed buff. They can look at the blue. They get a tier 1 tower on the left-hand side. And yeah, it looked to me, honestly, Fantastique were just trying to answer back to losing the Gold Fury and got punished for it.
Yeah, nulisa there backs. I'm assuming she backed on a ward, so Hungry for More take that time, do the Gold Fury uncontested. They burn the Fear No Evil to help guarantee it, and then the counter initiation comes in from Fantastique. They dive into the backline, but it's only Dardez, right? And everyone else is just playing very passively, not really sure if they can get in. I think Jermain ulted there, but it just wasn't enough damage to set up anything. And then once Hungry for More were able to reset, we saw Ataraxia successfully dive the backline along with Variety, and then Prime, CaptainTwig, and PandaLike all kind of protecting themselves, staying right next to each other.
That's a real big gold lead for this stage of the game, though. Already, only 10 minutes in at that is 5,000 gold. That's a lot.
And it's been quietly done. It hasn't been, like we've seen 2 times Hungry for More have got aggressive.
Yep.
Once they picked up nulisa in the mid and stole a bunch of jungle camps, and then there they got the Gold Fury.
3 kills.
Got 3 kills, and then, started taking down the towers. They didn't get the tier 1 on the left, but it's 1 hit away.
1 hit away, and it's just an extra bonus gold in the bank. Speed buff picked up for CaptainTwig there. PandaLike rotating around now, quite happy to leave Ataraxia on his own on the left-hand side. With the Gold Fury being down, he's just farming away. He did pick up a kill in that engagement too.
Yeah, I mean, it always feels good to get an extra kill there. You always want that right now. A couple power spike items have been hit. nulisa actually electing for the Doom Orb, surprisingly enough. Only has 1 death to her name so far, though.
Seems very core, this Doom Orb. We see a lot of players actually picking it up, whether or not they're in a rough situation or not in the game. As to the left-hand side, Jermain and Ataraxia just waving. He's actually waving at each other. They
see each other around the corner here. Ataraxia's got 2 levels on Jermain, though. He cannot fight this. He's got Devourer's Gauntlets as well as the Ichphile. Like, Jermain will not out-trade Ataraxia.
Well, he's got no exposure. He's only got 1 point to expose his bolts there, but look at this pressure in mid lane coming out. Thanks to Variety's rotation.
Level. Variety's level 14, and the people trying to poke him are 2 to 3 levels below him. 4 levels if you're looking at Dardez.
And the walls are just coming in. PandaLike's just going to zone him on the right-hand side here from MoGoW trying to come around the corner.
He actually did not know. He actually didn't know that MoGoW was sitting behind him.
But he just sat there clapping. On his own. Left-hand side rotation, though, as Variety comes all the way over now, looking to pressure. And it looks like Hungry for More trying to catch Fantastique in a fight. They're trying to pry pressure everywhere in the map.
Look at this. It's like they're cattle herding right now. Variety is actually like a cattle herder, or like a shepherd herding the sheep, just like
away from
forcing Fantastique into corners they don't want to. And HFM, they're able to push up, get the tier 1 on left, and look at it once again. Variety, he just sits on this front line, makes it very scary. And Fantastique, they're just going exactly the directions that Variety wants them to.
Yeah, same game on as game 1 again. I mean, they pressure the towers as a group, and this is what they're doing here again. Are Fantastique going to defend it? Doesn't look like it now. The wall will dissuade them, especially with PandaLike waiting with the hammer as soon as anybody comes through. And he's under pressure though, pulled up to the tower, but there's the ult.
And there's the great bait. Fear No Evil finds 5, and Fantastique, they're being shredded right now. PandaLike to the back line, very low. WorldEdit gets a massive heal, and PandaLike actually the first to fall.
But the rest of the team is still following up. There's the aggression from Variety. He gets 1 the snipes needed for Jermain to secure. Unable to get Variety. Variety will live and new walls off MoGoW for a second. Meanwhile, Twig at the back will trade out 1, but get taken down by Jermain. But there's Ataraxia disengaging too.
Is that going to be a kill? Detonate. Oh, it's good. Great Sanctuary by nulisa. She was going to fall as well if she didn't pop that immediately. PrettyPriMe, though, finds the extra kill on the end to make it an even trade. And that was in Fantastique's favor. Very unfortunate that they weren't able to kill Variety, and then another unfortunate death there at the end onto MoGoW.
That's exactly what we expected. PandaLike goes aggressive, gets out of position, gets pulled on the tower. The team look at him for half a second, and a Fear No Evil connects at the same time as the ultimate goes off from the Fafnir, and it's destruction.
And that's, I mean, once again, we go back to, like, this is the risky playstyle of PandaLike, right? He gets plucked in, and that sets up CaptainTwig for that entire team-wide Fear No Evil. Also, he gets the Dragon Form off, does a fair amount of dot damage to everyone on Fantastique, but he took too much damage, I think he took a lot more damage before he landed than he had expected, and that forced Hunger for More into an awkward fight under the tower, and it almost goes Fantastique's way. Thankfully, PrettyPriMe able to even it out in the end.
I think Hunger for More just realized that PandaLike is a troll. That's all they need to realize. He's a troll. He likes to troll in his games, but these trolls are actually calculated now because Hungry for More put them to use.
I don't know if it's calculated by PandaLike.
No,
I think
by the team.
The team just kind of works around it there. I like the ult from Variety. He was a little bit worried that he was going to get plucked under tower there, just making sure he was going to get out safe.
Well, the ultimates are just coming back up one more time here for all the boys of Hungry for More, ready for the next engagement. They're not grouped up right now as Ataraxia is looking around the Gold Fury for now, but just going to ward it and maybe look at Pollinate because you can see he's got pressure with his team in mid lane as well.
And no wards either by Fantastique at all around here.
There's one at the back.
Rom knows this is going on. Jermain has ultimate, so he can try and steal it, but it was a little bit too late to get up into the sky here. He's going to have to rely on his basics, and was he successful?
No,
just short.
No, we looked very close though, but it wasn't enough. Now Twig under a bit of pressure, forced to leap away from the pin. There's PandaLike round the back, going aggressive, all on nulisa on his own.
And there's all four members of Fantastique, but he's already done so much damage to nulisa. Doesn't even need to solo her as Ataraxia's made the rotation, and CaptainTwig, another big Fear No Evil.
You turn your back and there's the Fear, and you're instantly dead. Ataraxia gets another kill because of that one too. And Hungry for More at 15 minutes, and they're pushing down mid lane.
CaptainTwig has been on fire this game with the Fear No Evils. We haven't seen less than 3 people in it at any point in the game, and now we're 15 minutes in. And it's going to be a surrender. Hunger for More, 12-2.
I mean, 9,000 gold, 15 minutes in. You saw them going towards the Fire Giant there. There was no response from them.
I don't think they win that either way.
It's a little bit early.
It's not like you had another game, right? This was the last game of your day.
A little bit early for the surrender there, but at the same time, like 7,000 gold
down. I would have bet a lot of money on HFM winning there, even if you gave me some pretty good odds. But Hunger for More off to a blazing start, 6 points in their first 2 matches.
And when you look down the list of who their opposition is, I mean, Panthera splitting on day 1 against Paradigm is so good for them. The 2 teams above them splitting means that they're going to stay at the top for a little while longer here.
And everyone's going to be facing each other once, so Hunger for More do not have to worry about Cringe Crew again. They don't have to worry about Fantastique. But like you mentioned, those 2 big names, those are the only 2 teams that are ahead of them, I would say, if you look at some form of power rankings. Obviously, Panthera, the reigning world champions, has won every single event since then, and Paradigm also always kind of pushing that bar.
Well, we mentioned a lot about PandaLike that game, but Twig was really the big player for that game for the boys. PandaLike set it all up, but Twig helped to execute it every single time.
And I think we have a couple clips of kind of his beautiful plays here in game 1. Just look at that Typhoon, finding 2, and then he just picks his target so well. You can see he doesn't want to chase down everything. This is the quadra kill he got.
His decision-making more than anything. He's looking for the right targets, and if you can clean up, well, he will do. And unfortunately, if he would have held that extra second, he would have been in a better position. But there's a very good blink to the backside.
Because he already knew that his team was going to be able to clean up that other kill. There's no reason trying to kill steal that, secure the kill under the tower.
And this is the beginning of game 2, where we saw the aggression around the speed buff and just picking up kills for his team.
I think he's got his team. Yeah, and then there was the final play as well where he had the 5. No, I'm pretty sure it was 5. At the very least, it was 4 under that tier 2 tower. That fight actually almost going in Fantastique's way, but still just amazing setup.
Well, that's only 1 set down today. We've still got another 3 sets to come. Make sure you stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break, and when we're back, we'll be bringing you the next one.